The biggest companies in history didn't fail because of bad luck. They failed because of patterns that show up at every scale, including yours. I'm Amanda. I lost my savings on a business I thought I'd planned properly, and it wasn't until I studied how billion-dollar giants collapse that I understood why. This video breaks down 10 of those collapses and the exact lessons sitting inside each one. 10 companies. A combined peak value of over $400 billion. Every single one had their equity wiped out, not over decades but in months, sometimes days. One collapsed in 8 days flat. That one wasn't Lehman Brothers. It wasn't even in 2008. We'll get to that. These weren't startups. These were giants, with armies of lawyers, armies of accountants, PR teams telling the world everything was fine, right up until the moment it wasn't. So what actually kills them? By the end of this, you'll know the answer, and you'll be able to spot the pattern before it hits the news. The rules. Peak valuation of at least 10 billion. Then gone? Bankruptcy, seizure, forced sale for scraps, or a brand so thoroughly erased it may as well have never existed. Every story has a fuse clock. Some fuses burned for years. One burned in under a week. Number 10. NMC Health. Peak value, approximately £10 billion. Fuse, under 2 years. NMC was founded in the UAE, listed in London, and earned a place in the FTSE 100, the top 100 companies on the entire London market. The numbers look strong. Growth was real. At least that's what the accounts said. Then, on the 17th of December 2019, a short seller called Muddy Waters dropped a report. Undisclosed debt, inflated assets, transactions that didn't add up. NMC pushed back. The pushback made things worse. The company had reported its total debt at around $2 billion. What investigators found was $6.5 billion, with over $4 billion of it completely hidden. Administration was filed in April 2020. Shareholders left with nothing. When trust breaks, credit disappears first. Number 9. SunEdison. Peak market cap, around $10 billion. Fuse, less than 1 year. In mid-2015, SunEdison was the story of renewable energy, buying solar and wind assets at pace, spinning them into investment vehicles called yield cos. The pitch? We're building the renewable future and making money doing it. The reality? Every deal was financed by the promise of the next one. Then came a $2.2 billion bid for Vivint Solar that even its own investors revolted against. Confidence cracked. Margin calls followed. SunEdison filed for bankruptcy in April 2016. $10 billion peak to Chapter 11 in under 12 months. The technology hadn't failed. The financial architecture underneath it had. Number 8. Wirecard. Peak market cap, 24 billion euros. Fuse, 2 years. Wirecard was Germany's answer to Silicon Valley, a fintech giant. In 2018, it joined the DAX, a point of national pride. Journalists at the Financial Times had been raising questions for years. Wirecard's response was to sick lawyers on the journalists rather than answer the questions. For years, it worked. Then in 2020, EY, the long-standing auditor, announced it could not verify 1.9 billion euros sitting in trust accounts in the Philippines. The company's own response: that money likely does not exist. CEO Marcus Braun was arrested. COO Jan Marsalek fled and remains a fugitive on Interpol's Red Notice list. Courts confirmed the fraud. The question that still haunts people: how did an entire ecosystem of auditors, banks and regulators in one of the world's most sophisticated financial markets miss it for so long? A 24 billion euro company built on audited belief. Number 7. Silicon Valley Bank. Peak market cap, $44 billion. Fuse, 2 years of building problems. Final collapse, 48 hours. SVB wasn't a fraud. That's what makes it so unsettling. Everything it did was technically legal. It gathered deposits from startups across Silicon Valley, a hyper-connected depositor base, and put that money into long-duration government bonds. Safe in theory. Then the Federal Reserve raised rates at the fastest pace in decades. Those bonds lost value. SVB was sitting on billions in unrealized losses that didn't officially exist as long as they didn't have to sell. Then they had to sell. The capital raise announcement didn't reassure anyone. It terrified them. The group chats lit up. Pull your money. Now. On a single day, the 9th of March 2023, depositors attempted to withdraw $42 billion. The following morning, regulators seized the bank. SVB hadn't stolen a thing. Its depositors just moved faster than any bank in history could survive. Number 6. Bear Stearns. Peak market cap, around $20 billion. Fuse, 18 months. Bear Stearns had survived the Great Depression, 2 world wars, the dot-com bust. In business since 1923. On Wall Street, that history felt like armor. 2 of its hedge funds had loaded up on subprime mortgage exposure. When the housing market cracked in 2007, those funds blew up. Counterparties, the institutions that extend short-term funding every single night, stopped rolling over the loans that kept Bear's operation liquid. Without that daily funding, the machine stopped. Sold to JP Morgan for $2 a share. It had traded at 170 at its peak. Decades of shareholder value erased over a single weekend. When your funding is short-term, a rumor is a weapon. Number 5. Washington Mutual. Peak market cap, around $30 billion. Fuse, 1 year. Still the largest bank failure in American history. WAMU was the bank account your parents had. Bright orange signs, friendly branches. Tens of millions of ordinary Americans trusted it. Underneath was a mortgage machine running on adjustable rate products that only worked if house prices rose forever. By September 2008, fear was everywhere. WAMU's depositors made a rational decision: get the money out. In 10 days, they withdrew $16.7 billion. Regulators seized the bank on the 25th of September and sold it to JP Morgan for $1.9 billion. For customers who had done nothing wrong, the message was cold and clear. Your bank can disappear, even if you didn't. Number 4. WorldCom. Peak market cap, $180 billion. Fuse, 3 years. WorldCom was the backbone of the internet age. Then the dot-com bubble burst, revenues slowed, and Wall Street kept expecting growth that wasn't coming. So the executives manufactured it. Simple, brazen fraud, operating expenses reclassified as capital expenditures. Costs that should have reduced profits were moved to a category that made profits look like they were still growing. Total assets inflated by $11 billion. An internal auditor named Cynthia Cooper found it. Working after hours, pulling threads that didn't connect, she uncovered what her own executives had been hiding. She reported it anyway. WorldCom filed for bankruptcy in July 2002. CEO Bernie Ebbers went to prison. Fraud doesn't hide forever. It just hides until it can't. Number 3. Enron. Peak market cap, $70 billion. Fuse, 1 year. Enron didn't just want to be a company. It wanted to be the future. Energy, broadband, weather derivatives. It sold itself as the smartest room in American business. Underneath, hundreds of special-purpose entities moved debt off the balance sheet, and mark-to-market accounting let them book future profits on the day a deal was signed, regardless of whether the cash ever arrived. In August 2001, CEO Jeff Skilling resigned without explanation. Then a memo surfaced from accountant Sharon Watkins, warning the company might implode. Then it emerged. Auditor Arthur Anderson had been shredding documents. Credit agencies downgraded the debt to junk. Bankruptcy filed on the 2nd of December 2001. Employees watched retirement savings disappear, while executives had been quietly selling shares for months. Key executives convicted. Fraud doesn't collapse from guilt. It collapses when it can no longer refinance. Number 2. Lehman Brothers. Peak market cap, around $46 billion. Fuse, 2 years. The weekend it died changed everything. 158 years in business. Survived the Civil War, 2 World Wars, the Great Depression. 4th largest investment bank in the United States. The idea it could fail seemed structurally impossible. But Lehman had loaded up on real estate at the top of the market and funded it with short-term borrowing, refinancing billions every single day just to keep operating. There was also Repo 105, an accounting maneuver that temporarily moved $50 billion off the balance sheet around reporting periods to make the company look less leveraged. Legal, but deception dressed in paperwork. Emergency meetings in September 2008. Potential buyers approached and walked away. The government wouldn't rescue it. On the 15th of September, Lehman filed for bankruptcy. Global credit markets froze within hours. Banks stopped lending to each other. The entire financial system teetered. A 158-year institution died in a single news cycle. And number 1, FTX. Private valuation, $32 billion. Fuse, 10 months. Final implosion, 8 days. Sam Bankman-Fried was everywhere in 2022. Super Bowl ads, magazine covers, meetings with regulators, the hoodie-wearing altruist who was going to make crypto safe. FTX had 30 million users, celebrity endorsements, and $32 billion in institutional backing. Sitting next to FTX was Alameda Research, his trading firm. Customer deposits from FTX were flowing directly into Alameda to fund its bets. Courts later confirmed it. He stole customer funds, plain and simple. On the 2nd of November 2022, CoinDesk reported on Alameda's balance sheet. Its biggest asset was FTT, a token FTX itself had created. The whole thing was collateralized by invented money. Binance announced it would sell its FTT. The price fell. Withdrawal requests hit $6 billion in hours. Binance looked at the books for 6 hours and walked away from a rescue. On the 11th of November, FTX filed for bankruptcy. The turnaround specialist brought in, John Ray III, who had handled Enron, said he had never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls. Sam Bankman-Fried was convicted on all counts, sentenced to 25 years, 8 days from trigger to bankruptcy. The fastest collapse of a $30 billion company ever recorded. 10 companies, 3 patterns every time. Opacity and complexity, Wirecard, Enron, WorldCom, FTX. When nobody outside could explain the numbers, the story became the product. And the story ran out. Leverage and refinancing dependence, Lehman, Bear Stearns, Sun Edison. These companies needed tomorrow's money to survive today. The moment lenders hesitated, even for a single day, it was over. Concentrated funding and networked panic. SVB, Washington Mutual. When your depositors all know each other and get the same information at the same time, fear doesn't spread slowly. It spreads in group chats, in hours. The fuse clock isn't measuring time. It's measuring how long a company can keep belief intact. Because none of these companies died the day the fraud was committed, or the day the bad loan was made. They died the day the people holding them up stopped believing. A $10 billion valuation can take decades to build. It takes one credibility event to erase it. Which of these felt the most preventable to you? And which pattern do you think is being built somewhere right now?